Welcome to Soul-Led Creative Women, the podcast for heart-centered creative women who are ready to reclaim their spark and live with deeper meaning, authenticity, and soul. So today I have Nadine Ellis with me. Nadine is an Australian poet, author, university lecturer, and medical academic whose journey of resilience and personal transformation has spanned the depths of abuse, the raw truths of motherhood, and the quiet battles of everyday life that so many women endure. Nadine's new book, The Grey Between, shares poetry that heals and challenges, tracking her transformative journey and the balance of light and dark that is our human existence. So welcome, Nadine.
Thank you very much for having me, Sam.
So let's jump straight in, Nadine, and let's start with your story. Tell us about how you got started writing poetry and how it has shaped your journey.
Okay, so poetry for me has always I don't know, it's always been there for as long as I can sort of recall. It was my sort of means of expression from a very early age. But earlier still, I think my first introductions to poetry were as a little sort of 5 or 6 year old in ballet class, and my ballet teacher wanted her children, as we were, to gain some culture. So she to sort of demand that all the mothers make good use of this and go buy poetry books for their children and get us sort of immersed in it. So that was really my first sort of foray, so to speak. And my mother, I remember trotting off and coming back home with this sort of rewrite or reedition of Hilaire Belloc's Cautionary Tales. And I don't know if that really impacted that much on me at that point in time, but it was there. That's the first
Like a
sort of
little seed.
yeah. But I really distinctly recall it wasn't until I was at high school, and we had a substitute teacher, and I think she, of want of not sure what to do and sort of trying to sort of keep these unruly kids in tow, starts handing out all these photocopies of Emily Dickinson and I was like, wow, this is just amazing. And I think at that point it sort of clicked that I wanted to be able to express myself in this emotive way. And I recall, like, even from an early age, just jotting things down, like my thought processes, things I felt, just sort of just anything that was going on in my head. But it didn't really dawn on me that this was poetry. It
Okay.
just was a way of expressing myself, and I couldn't really talk to people. And subsequently, very late in life, I've been diagnosed as autistic. So that kind of
Okay.
explained
Okay.
everything from my
Yeah.
childhood, sort of this inability to feel like I was like everybody else. I always felt like this cog that didn't fit in. And so I was a very feeling person, but I didn't have an outlet per se to express that verbally. So it was always very internal. So this dialogue was always there and still is. But writing enabled me to sort of get that craziness out. And it enabled me to be creative in a sense, but to also work things through.
Okay.
Like when we normally have a conversation with someone,
Yeah.
it gives us the ability to sort
Yeah.
of hear that bouncing back, and we can go, oh, yeah, and have those sort of
Yeah.
aha moments. And I never really had anyone to do that with.
Okay.
So for me, it was the paper,
Sure.
and the ability to sort of put the ink on it or the pencil or the crayon or
Yeah.
whatever I could grab my fingers with and write those words down, and then being able to sort of see what was going on in front of me and make those sort of connections,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as I got older and life happened and so many things that we all experience, it still enabled me to sort of process what was going on around me, especially when traumatic things started happening. And I couldn't quite work out why these things were happening to me.
Sure.
And then being able to get it on paper, you suddenly realize, well, hey, it's not me.
Yeah.
It's just life in general and people impacting upon me. And so being able to sort of express myself and work through what was going on, and seeing it on the paper enabled me sort of to keep my sanity in a way. And lo and behold, I actually managed to get some poems printed.
Yeah, so
And I
good.
thought, wait, I'm not too bad at this. So, you
It's
know,
awesome.
yeah, so that
So
was just
good.
an added bonus. But I think I don't see it as a so much as well, I do. I guess I do see it as a creative outlet, but it was just a necessity of
Yeah,
life for
sure. Well, we
me.
can explore that as we move through the
Yeah.
conversation. Absolutely. Mm,
Yeah, but yeah, it's always been there.
mm.
And I think many people have something in their life that they can sort of resonate with that keeps them sort of sane,
Yeah,
or it has those moments where they can express themselves. And it doesn't necessarily have to be poetry or
yeah,
writing. It can be anything. But for me, that's what sort of kept me
yeah,
level.
yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I was reading on your website that English is not your first language, and there
No.
was something in there about like before you discovered poetry that you were living life in black and white. Can you
Yeah.
explain that? Can you explain that?
Yeah. Look, it's
So
it's
cool.
It's bizarre. I mean, this kind of dates me a bit. I've just hit 60, so my childhood was very much black and white
Yeah,
TV,
okay.
when we did get it, and I distinctly recall I literally would dream in black and white or shades of
Okay.
grey. It's and I
Oh,
it didn't
wow.
click until I think I was about 13 when mum and dad came home with a little colour telly.
Okay.
And it's like color. It's just this vibrancy. And I remember sleeping that night and waking up the next morning and realizing I, for the first time, dreamt in color. And I
Mm,
always previously before that saw black and white in my dreams. Everything
mm.
was just so cut and dry, or there were these shades of gray, but that was my life.
Right.
And it's kind of it's kind of weird, but that's my memory.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I love color, but I'm always wearing black.
Yeah, okay.
Black is
Yeah.
my uniform.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do, like I said, I love color, but I can't wear it. I just,
Okay. Isn't that interesting?
yeah,
So, like, really powerful. I've just realized something that I hadn't previously realized, right? So, my next question for you is all around shadows. So, I'll sort of explain the question. But what I've just realized is that the shadows are in the black and white, right? So, when you describe that kind of pre-poetry period of being black and
yeah,
white, it's still a play on the shadows.
yes,
So, what I want to ask you, so I believe that our creativity and our personal or spiritual growth, they kind of operate in duality. Like they're always reflecting each other and mirroring each other and kind of doing this beautiful little dance, right?
mm,
So the overarching theme in your poetry, as a reflection of life's pain and struggles, and then your work as a radiographer exploring x-rays of the body, they both have this overarching theme of shadows, right? Which is,
I love the
back to the back
shadows.
of my. So, shadows as in life's darkness, or shadows as in, shadows you can see in the body from the x-ray. So
Mm,
tell us about how you feel about shadows as a theme for your life's work and passion, as we're sort of talking about it here.
yeah, you've mentioned a lot. There's a lot to unpack.
That's all right, you go for it. I just had to
Um,
describe it all, so I just
yeah,
think it's
it's
so
like
beautiful. I
that.
love it. So take your time.
It's just, yeah, I think that for me, I've always kind of liked to stay under the radar.
Hmm.
And I think this comes back to sort of I was a real target as a kid for being bullied from day one, and for whatever reason, and I think the autism probably had a lot to do with it. From a being a non-English speaking background as well. I mean, I really didn't start speaking English until I was at school,
Hmm.
and that's where I first learned it. So for me at home, we spoke Russian.
Yep.
And it wasn't until, I'm digressing here, sorry, but I'll
That's
get back
okay. Yeah,
on the
yeah.
track.
It's fine. Keep
Um,
going.
just to qualify that, it wasn't until I was in high school before I realized I actually didn't, I could speak English at home,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But so for me, I was this tall, lanky kid, braces, mouthful of metal and pimply skin and just like a constant target on my back. So for me, I really had to stay under the radar
Hmm.
as a sort of a self-preservation. And my earliest memories really are like primary school,
Hmm.
grade two, grade three, all the way through to high school. And yeah, it wasn't a pleasant thing to be noticed
Yeah, okay.
because I was noticed for all the wrong reasons, and there was always pain associated with that.
Hmm.
And not just verbal, it was emotional, it was physical,
Yeah.
etc. I mean, kids used to like shove me into the corner and they would sort
Mm.
of whack me and stab me with protractors, and it's just awful. So I really feel for kids that do get bullied at school.
Yep.
Hence, stay under the radar, try not to sort of, show my head. So yeah, I would not be the kid that's in the middle of the field or in the group with the other girls
Yep.
sitting, I'd be like behind the tree, under the shade, sitting quietly, just even more of a target.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my comfort zone, this sort of not being in the spotlight per se.
Mm.
And I think although I loved being this active child,
Mm.
it was always a solitary sort of
Mm.
activity.
Mm.
And I'd always end up hurting myself. And mum would have to drag me off to the radiology department for x-rays. So that was a very comfortable sort of environment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're familiar with the radiology department, they're very dark.
Okay.
So
Hiding in the shadows, literally.
yeah,
Yeah.
so for me, again, comfortable sort of environment. So it was a really natural
Mm.
progression to, I think, to eventually have that as a profession down the track.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't, it's not a scary place for me to be in those
No.
grey zones. It's
Yeah.
really a comfortable place, and it's just, I don't know, it's probably, I see it all in my head and it makes sense to me. I don't know if I'm
Mm.
actually sort of verbalizing it very well, but yeah, it is a comfortable place. It has extremes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I understand life has extremes as well. So it's this replication
Yeah.
of the things that have happened to me
Yeah.
throughout my life.
Yeah.
And so the book itself, The Grey Between, it's really a documentation of my life journey from a
Sure.
young person to much older and mature. And the book itself is divided into three segments. So you've got the in between, you've got the white and the black. And I think they basically
Okay.
stand for
Okay.
the harshness of life, or
Yeah.
the more naivety, sort of
Yeah.
purity.
There's so much there.
Oh yeah.
I feel like for you, like, what you've described is sort of this hiding in the shadows piece. So, as a young person, you really identify with that. And then obviously in your work, it's literally the same thing, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
what I was also getting at with the shadow piece is kind of like this shadow work that comes as part of a spiritual and sort of a personal growth journey, as you move through life and as you kind of really explore your
yeah,
shadows and learn to embrace them, which I think is what you're doing with your poetry as
yeah,
well, right? So how do you feel about embracing
yeah,
the dark parts of, your life as you've explored, and the shadows of your life as you've explored the poetry and that real personal expression?
yeah. I, I, mm. The embracing of it, I wouldn't use
Okay.
that word per se.
Okay.
It's a necessity for me. I
Yes.
need to write. I need to jot things down. It keeps me sane. It literally
Yeah. Okay.
enables things to get out of my head so that there's room for other things to ruminate. I use it, or have used it, when life was really hard,
Yep. Yep.
in the midst of the first marriage breakdown,
Yep.
early days of motherhood, very much experiencing postnatal
Yeah.
depression,
Okay.
things like that. Just when life was really traumatic, for me,
Yep.
it was a lifeline.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
enabled me to work through what was going on. And it's a means of getting from A to B,
Okay.
hence the grade
But
between.
do you see beauty in those hard times, like when you look back on it and when you can see it written in the
Oh,
poetry? Do you really, like, that's what I
yeah.
mean by embracing it,
Well,
I
yeah,
think.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like this is my gift.
Yeah.
It's like recognizing, or what's the word I'm trying to say? It's acknowledging that there is pain and suffering, and we
Yes.
all have this
Yes.
at some point in our lives. No one's immune to it, but you need that
Yeah.
crap
Yeah.
to be able to appreciate the beauty around you, or you need
Yes.
to have experienced awful things to be able to see the nice things.
Hmm.
And it's this fleetingness to life. But if everything is always nice and beautiful and joyous, you don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't see it for what it is. So you do need that awfulness, if that's a word,
Yeah.
to balance the
Yeah.
beauty. But even the beauty can be so brief, but you need to appreciate it when
Yeah.
it's there. So
Yeah.
it's a balance, it really is.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so, how important has poetry been for you then in terms of really honoring, your truth and then, expressing that? So, I see part of the creative process as a process of connecting to our truth and then finding really safe, meaningful ways to express that. So, how important has that been for you within your poetry?
I think you've just basically answered it with the question. I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah, for me, like some people, they need to confront whoever has done things to them, or they need to have that process of forgiveness. And that's not for me. It doesn't
Sure,
work.
sure.
But this is my way of confronting what
Hmm.
has occurred, or working through what has occurred, and not so much the forgiveness part of
Yeah,
it, but the acceptance,
yeah,
and then moving through it. And I've sort of said this, I probably haven't said it to you, but I've said it previously. It's like those things that happen to us shouldn't define us. It's
yeah,
what we do as we move through it that defines us.
yeah,
And I'm very much, that's my belief,
yeah.
that just because these things happen, yeah, we can be sad, we can acknowledge it, but we don't have to live in that.
No,
You know, we can move through it because those things do make us who we are
yeah,
down the track, but they don't define us.
yeah.
And yeah, and look, it's about being present in the moment and
Mm.
acknowledging the support of people around you and the nice things and the beautiful things, but it's also recognizing when those awful things occur, you don't have to accept that. You don't
Yeah,
have to stay in those environments. And yeah, you're the one that's in charge of
yeah, it's
your
beautiful.
own self,
Mm.
and you have the permission to actually live the way you want to live.
Mm.
And if you're not getting that from the people that are around you, move on. And
Yeah,
so my poetry reflects that. That's
yeah,
my process of the moments that I work through to come to that understanding that, yeah, people were doing things that I didn't like,
yeah,
but I had the power
yeah,
to stop enabling them and to move forward and become who I wanted to be.
yeah. And how much has your poetry then helped you to gather that power within yourself?
Say it's all there because
Yeah,
that's been my
yeah,
lifeline. That's been
yeah.
my thing that I needed. But that, like for you, you paint,
Hmm.
other people do all sorts of
Yeah,
things that are a sense of creativity for them,
yeah,
but that's also their little lifelines.
yeah.
That gives them
Absolutely.
that moment to sort of zen and be within themselves and
Yeah,
settle and regain the energy and
yeah,
regain their strength. So
yeah,
creativity is just a beautiful thing. And if you can, well, everyone can do it.
yeah.
It's just being aware that it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a poet or write
Yes.
or paint. It
Find
can
your
be,
own thing.
yeah, the little everyday things. If you can do them well and they give you peace, you're on a winning
Yeah,
pathway.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So tell us about your creative process then, and the ups and downs within that process as you go through, creating a poem or a
Mm.
set of poems. What does it look like?
Yeah, well, a bit of lived experience helps.
Yeah,
And you got lots of material to draw on, which I'm sure
yeah.
you can appreciate. Yeah, life experience is wonderful in that regard. I think that's the first step, sort of being aware of things and feeling them.
Hmm.
And I'm always carrying a notebook around with me. I'm always
Okay,
writing. It might be a word that I've heard, or a quote, or someone will say something, or I'll overhear a conversation.
okay.
Oh, that's great. And I'll just jot some things down. And I fill notebooks with just
Yeah,
sort of sentences or descriptions, or I'll draw something. And it might be that night I'll sit and I'll write something, usually 2 o'clock in the morning, but it will just, it'll go quietly in my head and it'll work itself out. And then I'll just be like, ding, I'm awake. Yeah, I've got to write it down.
Yeah, okay.
And then I might, excuse me, I might have a whole run of days where I'll sit and I'll churn work out.
Okay.
And then I'll just put it away, let it sit, let it breathe for a while. I might come back to it a week later, a fortnight, a
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't do it to, oh, I must produce something to
Yeah.
send it out for publication. It really is. I do it for myself, for
Yeah.
my
Okay.
cathartic sort of therapy. And then if I think they're good enough, yeah, they'll go out. And
Yeah.
lo and
Okay.
behold, a book, has appeared. But
Yes.
yeah, it's like brushing your teeth. It's just something I
Mm.
do.
Mm.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been doing it for a while, but how often does your poetry surprise you, and fuel sort of further insights into things that maybe you thought that you'd already dealt with, or, new breakthroughs in your healing and expansion journey?
I don't know. I think it's probably at that point where I've worked through that
Yeah, okay.
and I now see it for what it is.
Okay.
It's my therapy. I I know it
So
surprises
you're
other people
almost
though.
you're expecting it to surprise you. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you expect it to be magic and for it
No,
to
well, that sounds
for things to
nice.
appear that you weren't expecting because you've been doing it for so long. And
No, it sounds a little bit conceited. It's
yeah,
not
yeah, it's okay.
not meant like that. It's just I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah,
And I'm comfortable with the process and if I can't produce a poem, that's okay. I
yeah,
know it will come eventually, so I
yeah.
don't fight it. And if for months all I'm doing is jotting down notes, I'm thinking, well, great, I've got a whole notebook full of notes for when I sit
Ideas.
down quietly and start
Mm.
working on it. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, 60 years down the track, I've kind of fallen into this pattern of, well, if it's not today, it'll come eventually.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting it. I'll just get busy with other
So do you
things.
think that you're sitting in a space of joy with it a lot more than like
At the moment,
maybe
yeah,
at one point it was more about processing and healing and kind of this sort of transformation journey, and now it's
absolutely.
transferred more into a joy and peace and calm
Yes,
and serenity piece. Yeah, that's
yes,
beautiful. I
yes.
love
It's
that.
very much, it does. It brings me great joy and
Okay.
comfort to sit and write and zone.
Yeah.
And the world just, I'm just tuned out
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
it's lovely. And like I said, sometimes it's 2 o'clock in the morning because I've
Yeah.
just been flat chat doing everything else, and at night my brain settles and think now it's me time, and I
Mm.
want to sort of get something lovely out onto the paper and then I'm happy and I go back to bed and everything's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm at that point now where yes, it was a lifeline.
Yes.
Now it's
Yes.
joy. It
Yeah,
really
that's
is.
beautiful. And so,
Mm.
do you think that your creative practice really helps you to connect with something bigger than yourself, like spirit, God, universe, whatever you want to call it? Do you think that it allows for you to have that deeper connection?
I've never really sort of thought of it in that regard, but I guess I'm a spiritual person in that I sort of put it out to the universe,
Yeah.
but I still believe that I mean I'm a scientific brain.
Yeah, yeah. That's great.
So for me, I need proof. Proof is in what I
Yeah.
can see tangible things, but I don't discount other people's faith or things like that.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for me, yeah, the universe is there, and I'm very strong believer in that we do create our own issues a lot of the time.
Okay.
So you do need to have a means of being able to release that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so for me, I think I pretty well stumbled on what works
Yeah. Okay.
for me.
Perfect.
So, I now write hoping that other people can connect with it
Yes.
and then realize that they're not alone in
Yes.
their pain or their journey. And that's a nice thought that my life experiences can now be shared with others.
Yeah.
My mother always accuses me of being a little bit too open in what I write, but it's me. That
Yeah.
and I'm there on the page. I'm not hiding anything. But I think a lot of the time, the reader who's reading the poetry brings their own life experience to what they're reading.
Yeah.
and that enables them to resonate with my words.
Yeah,
So sometimes they bring more pain to the page than was ever intended.
sure.
So there are moments where they might get triggered, but that was never my intention. My intention was for me to be able to work through or to process things. But I think that's the special thing with poetry. You really do need the person who's reading the words to bring their life to it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, people who resonate with your work are, in theory, it's just what they need at the right time. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
the sentiment I think that you can, like, I think that's a beautiful way to look at it because they've been attracted to it for a reason, right? So hopefully you're
right.
there to
Yeah,
support them with whatever they're
that's
going
right.
through. So that's beautiful.
And on that note, may I
Yeah.
read a poem,
Yes,
please?
of course. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This one's a little bit about mistreatment.
Okay.
Okay. This one's called Wrenched Apart. He wrapped his spindled fingers around her narrow wrists. The tarantula, tripping prey within silk threads, spun from spinnerets like blood pulsing to his groin. She couldn't skirt the grime wedged beneath those fingernails. Seedling beds turned, beckoning spring, as he ground that soil to her skin, mixed with spit, as spider hands burrowed against the teeth of her jeans. Her eyes scanned the car as though separate from her head. He pressed her suit knees across her legs, pinned her down, a picnic blanket, forced to whiff his thick breath. He zoned in on her freckled neck, drizzled slimy kisses across her flesh, as venom paralyzes prey, enzymes dissolving her. And in his maleness, mistook her unfettered hand as liquefied, as it dived to the floor, searching blind, skimmed bottle tops, butts, then fingered cool chrome, just out of hand's reach. She heaved a carp, slapping body into air against her water's depths, grappled closer to the wrench, grasped its coldness in her palm, and whacked his throbbing temple. The Black Widow, tired of his mating attempts.
Awesome. So good. Love it. It's beautiful. It's like just pure creativity in terms of, all of the analogies there. I love that so much. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So, what do you wish that more people knew about the power of creativity and poetry?
I think I think it's more about that they can do it. Everyone can do it. And I think sometimes people are expecting themselves to be this great artist and they think, oh no, I can't do it. So they won't even try. And you don't have to be a great artist. You just spending quiet time playing. You know, when your kids play and we're mothers
Yeah.
and we play with them, it's so gratifying.
Mm,
This sort of pure time to just play. And I think people just need to play more,
yeah.
embrace the things that we enjoyed doing as children
Mm,
because they're the things that give us joy when we're adults or older. And just because we've matured doesn't mean we have to stop doing those
mm,
things that were pleasurable for us.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's just being kind to yourself and thinking that it's okay to try
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be this great big whatever.
Amazing.
The
Yeah.
little things, the
Mm,
little things are wonderful.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. So, for all the women out there who are curious about using poetry, whether it's to read poetry or to write their own poetry for, healing and empowerment and joy, what powerful message or question would you like to leave them with today?
I just start. Just get a piece of paper and a pen and just put some words on the paper.
Mm,
And like I think the bottom line is it doesn't have to be for publication or that aim. Those
yeah.
things come down the track if that's where you want to go. if you're using it as a means to connect with yourself and sort of have a bit of peace in your head and get some feelings out, then just do it.
Yeah.
Just write whatever comes to your mouth or your head or to your hand. You know, you could literally just get your phone and just blah, 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 talk, and record it if you want to hear it back. It's
Yeah.
like, it's just this, get it out of your body. Yeah,
Beautiful.
make
So good.
room for more things to
Yeah,
come.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And just play,
just
like you
start.
said before. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good. So how can people connect with you, Nadine, and find
Yes,
out more about your wonderful poetry and the work that you're
thank
doing?
you. They can connect with my author site, which is www.nadineellis.com. So NADINEELLIS, so it's all one word. And also on my Instagram. So that's Nadine Ellis Poetry, all one word. So there's a lot of new work on the Instagram that they can sort of see. And the author site is mainly just all focused on the actual book at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah. And the book itself is available globally through Amazon
Okay.
and also through the publisher at Hill of Content Publishing.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Nadine. Loved our conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Hey, Sam here. Thanks so much for listening to the end. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Join my free soul-led creative community and gain access to free guides and resources, plus exclusive events and workshops, all from within the members area. This is your chance to connect with me and other like-minded souls. Please head to samhorton.co/community. Take care.